I'm coming to you from my living room again. I know, it's just so hot out right now. And actually, currently, it's dark out. So I can get good light and good sound quality and come to you from my living room. Quickly today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about lightning photography. Lightning is something I've photographed a million times. In fact, I've been paid $0 in my life to ever photograph lightning, but I love it so much. Lightning is so amazing. So how do you photograph lightning? I've had so many people send me messages and comments asking how to photograph lightning. So lightning is super fast. So the gut instinct is you gotta have a fast shutter speed and a wide aperture to photograph lightning. But that's not how you do it. Actually, exactly the opposite. With lightning, you want a smaller aperture, so a higher f number, and you want a slow shutter speed. Most often when I'm photographing lightning, I'm using a shutter speed of around 30 seconds. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but generally it's around 30 seconds. How do you do it though? So what I do is, the best places I've ever got lightning photos is on a fence line overlooking a long, far out pasture or an interstate overpass. So you want an area where you can see pretty far out. So what do? First you need a tripod. You need a cable release or a remote shutter release, and you need your DSLR, obviously. That's it. 3 things and you're good to go. So you want to pick a spot that's good. You want a long range, so a long field or a long an interstate. Like I shoot along the interstate actually more often than I do along fields or pastures, so a long area. Now, I'm going to help you out here. When I got started, I always wanted to photograph the storm coming in. That is bad, because the storm's going to come in and generally it's going to bring a lot of rain and precipitation. But the best thing you can do is photograph the storm as it's passed, going away from you, because the rain, all the wind, all the precipitation is blowing away from you. So you can photograph the backside of that storm and get some killer shots. So whether you do it as it's coming into you or as it's going away from you, how do you do it? Well, you want to set your tripod up. I'm looking at my tripod here set up as I'm recording. You want to set your tripod up. You want to pick a focus length or a focus point. So what I like to do is focus at a point pretty far off, about 3/4 of the way as far as I can clearly see with my naked eye, I guess. I know that may be hard to pick, but a focus point, you don't want it too close. You know, I say you don't want it too far, but the farther out you can go, I guess the better. But about 3/4 away from where you can see with your focal, with your naked eyes would be the best point to focus. So focus on that point and then kick your focus off. Kick your camera back to manual focus, and if your camera doesn't have that, kick your lens back to manual focus where it's not going to focus anymore. You've already got it focused. It's on your tripod, it's focused, it's ready to go. Now you either have remote shutter releases or cable shutter releases. Either one, they're going to work the same way. You don't want to use your finger. If you don't have remote or cable shutter releases, you can use your finger, but you absolutely don't want to do it if you can help it. So let's pretend you've got the remote cable release or the remote release shutter release or the cable shutter release. So what you do is you click the button where the lightning's coming from. Generally it's going to be coming from a certain area. You might have a storm that's this wide, but most of your lightning is going to be coming from here or here or here. So you want to focus in the area where the majority of the lightning is coming from. And then you just click your shutter release, or push your button if you don't have the release, and just let it go. It's going to take a 30-second long photo. Now in that photo, what I generally do is I have a higher aperture. Normally, I don't know, sometimes I go up to f/22, but just a higher aperture, so a smaller hole, because we talked about aperture. You got fins in your lens and they encroach on each other, so a smaller hole. So I choose a higher aperture. I choose a lower shutter speed, as low as I can get, really, because I want a cleaner photo. Because when you shoot a long exposure photo, it generates a lot of noise, and the lower your ISO, the less noise there's going to be generally. So I shoot with a higher aperture and a lower ISO, and then a long shutter speed. So if I'm shooting a 30-second long exposure, that's, when your camera takes a picture, it goes click, click. Well, that click, click is the opening of the shutter and the shutting of the shutter. So if you take a 30-second long photo, your shutter opens and then 30 seconds later it closes. So everything that happens within that 30 seconds is getting taken into your camera. So people say, how do you take lightning photos? It's so fast. How do you get such great photos? How do you know when to take the picture? Well, you click the button and it's taking a 30-second picture. So for 30 seconds, anything that happens in that scene you're focused on gets taken into that picture. So it's not that you have to be fast, you have to be slow. You know, it's exactly the opposite of what people think. So you set up in the area where the lightning's coming, you focus on, you know, whatever point you decide to focus on. I choose a good light, a bright point like a sign or a car or something in the distance where I can get a good solid focus on it. And you're back to manual focus and you take the picture. So anything that happens within that time frame is going to be inside that photo. And I just do back to back to back to back. Now sometimes if I don't want to use a remote shutter release or a cable shutter release, what I'll do is I'll set my camera even on time lapse. And I'll set a 30-second exposure, my f-stop where I want it, you know, my aperture where I want it, my ISO where I want it. I'll just set it on time lapse, take a photo every 2 seconds. So it'll take that 30-second long photo, and then when the shutter closes, it'll wait 2 seconds and take another photo. And I'll just sit there and wait. I've got a rain shield that I put on my camera, and I'll just sit in my car as it's pouring rain, or you know, if the storm's going away, coming in, or whatever's going on, I'll just wait. I'll just let it take pictures all at once because it's already pre-focused. It's on a tripod, so it's solid. It'll be on time lapse, so it's going to take back to back to back pictures. You'll be surprised what you get. So remember, with lightning, instead of being really fast, you want to be really solid and really slow. Solid is the key. You've got to use a slow shutter speed, so you want to be completely solid or you'll get a bunch of squiggles. So get out there, shoot some lightning, and hey, visit us at thegrowingphotographer.com unless that's where you're seeing this. If you're already seeing this here, then visit us on Facebook, The Growing Photographer. Post some of your lightning pictures. Let us know how you did.